Greetings, my name is Desiree Sprav. I am a supply chain management major. I went to the illustrious Howard University, hailing from Brooklyn, New York, by way of the Virgin Islands. And I am going to be teaching you all about the wonderful world of global supply chain management. In my 10-year career, I worked in the automotive industry, the aerospace industry, nonprofit legal services, as well as e-commerce in postpartum products. So there is massive amounts of opportunities. So what is supply chain management? Supply chain management is the process of taking a raw material to a finished good and everything that happens in the process in between. And so that means we want to make sure that our customers are receiving their product at the right time, at the right quantity, at the right price, and of course, at the right quality. And so supply chain is looking at that entire process and how we can optimize every step of the way. So in supply chain management, you can be involved in many different disciplines. And so you could be a part of demand planning, which means, well, how do we know how much of a product we'll need in the future? So that has a lot to do with forecasting. We could be looking at capacity management. So how much do we have the capacity to produce at a particular supplier? You could also be looking at logistics. How do we get our products from one place to the other? So think about trucking, which is going to be really innovative in the next few years. You can think about planes, trains, buses, automobiles. All of these forms of transportation is a part of supply chain management. You could also be looking at my absolute fave, which is purchasing or procurement, which is how do we ensure that all of the products that we're having for our final product are at a very good price. We have a relationship with our vendors, and we're doing lots of negotiation to ensure that we're getting the best quality at the best price. So that is also a process in supply chain management. But we also have to have risk mitigation, right? So many things can happen within the supply chain. So it's very important that we are identifying risk. That could be risk within the government, risk within laws, risk at the vendor, maybe within their manufacturing. And so we're looking at all of these different factors because that is going to affect our end product and what we give to our customers. So I worked in supply chain management for 10 years, 10 wonderful years, mostly in procurement. And so there's so many benefits to working in supply chain. I think the number one that everybody loves to hear is that you can work globally. Every single company that is producing a product and sometimes even a service needs supply chain management because it's touching every single facet of the business. So that means that you can work in any company that is manufacturing something. What's your favorite sneaker brand? What's your favorite clothing brand? What's your favorite jewelry brand, right? Everyone needs supply chain management. And so if everyone needs supply chain management, that means that you can work globally, okay? So I had the opportunity to work in China, in Brazil, in Japan, in South Korea. I have partnerships with vendors who are in India and really all over the world, okay? And I was the global lead managing for Europe, India, China, Korea, Brazil, and the United States and parts of Canada. So there's so many opportunities for you to learn a global landscape. Get your mind outside of just America. Get your mind outside of just our culture and start to learn what is the global culture. You maybe even learn different languages. So it's very important that we start to look at this as a really great opportunity to expand your mind in many ways that you didn't know was possible. You would be excellent in supply chain management if you are hyper organized, a forward thinker, a critical thinker, if you love to build relationships, if you are a leader, if you're proactive. All of these different characteristics are very important in being successful in supply chain management. And also, if you are a massive problem solver, that is our role, is to solve problems every day. And so if you love to solve problems and critically think and all of these other characteristics that you may have, this is definitely a great opportunity for you. As I mentioned, I went to the illustrious Howard University, located in Washington, D.C. It is a historically black college or university, and I highly recommend to anyone who is interested in going to college. Why? Because not only is it excellent for Black excellence, it is also excellent for academic excellence. We have the best programs, we're top of the list on so many different charts, particularly for supply chain, particularly for business. And so it's an excellent opportunity if you're interested in going to a historically Black college or university. That being said, it is a great time. And so, yes, you want your academics to be phenomenal and wonderful, but you also want to enjoy this beautiful time in your life. And so, what I did to really heighten my experience at Howard University is I studied, but I also joined a phenomenal fraternity, and it's a co ed fraternity. It's a business fraternity that allows you to cultivate relationships, allows you to focus on business, and really starting to bridge that gap. And I think that it was an excellent, excellent way for me to start to learn how to negotiate or to build network. And I would suggest that for anyone. Start looking at clubs. Start looking at where you think that you're going to find like-minded individuals. Very important to find your tribe so that you can go on and continue to thrive. When you go to Howard University, they want to set you up for success. So there are many classes that you will take in order to be successful. Some are going to be harder than the others, but there were many classes that I took, so I'm just going to read because I'm not going to remember all of these. But some of these classes were business orientation, which basically teaches you how to be a professional. Okay, project management, accounting, economics, algebra, speech, statistics, marketing, business law, very, very important class, but also can be quite difficult, at least it was for me. So I used my network so that I can create a more easeful transition into this class. So I had study groups, I was always studying just so I can be better in this class. Uh, Operations, logistics, procurement, negotiation fundamentals, right? In procurement, we're constantly negotiating with our vendors. Project management, entrepreneurship, which I'm an entrepreneur now, and so I will teach you a little bit more about that. And supply chain integration. So, how do we integrate everything that we learn so that we can use it in the real business world? So now let's talk about cheat codes. How can we be successful in this new world, supply chain? Maybe you haven't heard of it. Maybe you don't know anything about it, but you're a little bit interested. I would say a cheat code in supply chain management is don't be shy to ask why. Be inquisitive, ask questions. There's literally nothing wrong with wanting to know more information. And that's actually the pinnacle of supply chain, right? Before we talked about being a massive problem solver as a major part of supply chain management. So, what we want to do is ask them why, ask the vendors why. If they are saying that we can't support XYZ capacity or XYZ time or XYZ price, get to the root cause. And that's how you show yourself as very successful. Keep digging in, keep digging, and then eventually you'll uproot the actual problem, and then you can solve it from the core of it, not at the surface level. And so thinking about asking why, don't be shy, ask why. Oh, that was pretty good. Don't be shy, ask why. A major roadblock that one may find when they choose a major like supply chain is that no one knows what that is. And that's why we get to charge so much. No, seriously, no one really knows what supply chain is, and it is a part of every facet of any company, really, whether it is a product or a service. Supply chain management is absolutely necessary in order for a company to be successful. So once they identify that, that's how they really expand and go into some very high efficiencies. That being said, when you speak to your aunt and your cousins and your mom and all of these folks who love you and adore you and they just want the best for you, they're going to be so confused. What is supply chain management? So come up with a very succinct way of saying what supply chain management is to you. It could be the definition that I gave earlier about supply chain management being the process of taking a raw material to a finished product and everything in between. Or you can use any definition that feels good to you. Plot twist. Supply chain management has been incredible to me for 10 years. However, at some point, I was called to become a holistic doula. And so, a holistic doula is someone that supports mostly in birth, but in many other parts of the reproductive life cycle, that supports physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually with someone going through the process of pregnancy and birth. And so you can consider it like a birth coach or a birth best friend. And so that is what I do now. But supply chain has helped me incredibly so that I can be so successful as a entrepreneur, as a holistic doula, as a childbirth educator and meditation teacher and yogi, and all these other different facets of my life are heavily influenced by my career in supply chain management. That being said, supply chain management allowed me to be hyper organized. I'm so organized with my business and the things that I have to get done within my business. It allowed me the discipline to be successful. It has allowed me and gave me the vision of how to really support anyone of any walk of life because I worked with so many different types of people within my career in supply chain management. It allowed me to negotiate. Sometimes I have to negotiate with doctors and midwives and nurses, but I'm using my skills from supply chain management to help me today. And so, as you can see, there's always going to be a common thread throughout your life. There's always going to be something that seems like, okay, this does not align with this, but it all threads through. It all is connected. And yes, holistic doula work seems totally different than supply chain, but they're actually quite similar and has allowed me to be the person that I am today. So I hope that you know that you can be successful in anything that you do. Remember to be disciplined. Remember to bring honor to yourself so that anything that comes from you is quality. I'll say that again. Anything that comes from you is quality. And so I wish you amazing, amazing blessings in your journey. And I hope that you pick supply chain. And I wish you all the best. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. My name is Desiree Sprawl. I am a supply chain management professional, but also a holistic wellness consultant, as well as a holistic wellness doula, entrepreneur, and the list goes on and on.